Hi, today we're going to use the pattern that's shown in Song of Song chapter 1 verse 9 to give us some insight into the plans of God for you and through you. This verse holds some unique insights into God's affection for you, as well as a real sense of passion and purpose toward you. So we read in Song of Song chapter 1 verse 9, I liken you, my darling, to a mare among Pharaoh's chariot horses. Now one evening my husband and I were enjoying a meal with two couples who were dear friends, and we decided to all play a game. The rules were that one member of each couple would pose a series of questions and answers, hoping that their spouse would know them well enough to answer the question with a matching response, and when a couple shared matching responses to the questions, they would be rewarded a point. So what started all very innocently quickly became years worth of ongoing jokes between the group. You see, one couple asked their spouse the question, what's the nickname I call you? And by the time that we had heard 15 very embarrassing and very personal terms of endearment, and yet had still not heard the actual answer, in fits of hysterical laughter, the game was called off. So our nicknames are often affectionate. They carry a sense of meaning and intimacy for us, and they are often a term of endearment. For me, my little brother at 3 years old chose a nickname that has always been my favourite. And when my friends call me by this nickname, it reminds me that I'm known and that I belong. In this verse, we see a term of endearment, my darling, or my love, depending on your Bible translation. And the root word that's used for these translations is raya. And interestingly, this is not found anywhere else in the Bible other than the Song of Song. Raya is used to communicate a very particular form of love. And it's understood to mean that this relationship is not just friendship. Rather, this word means my dearest companion and the choice love of my heart. Now, if we're going to unlock this verse further, we need to move along and look at the unusual reference to Pharaoh's horses. To understand the significance of this, we need to do a little bit of research. And King Solomon, who wrote the Song of Song, was known to collect chariots and horses. In fact, he was famous for the wealth that he had. He was wealthy, and with his wealth, he bought horses. He purchased them from the nations Egypt and Cilicia, which is a region of Turkey. And then he located them in the cities that he actually established especially for them as fortified posts. It's believed that Solomon purchased 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horses. And note this, Solomon's intention was to display his royal magnificence, his power, and his might to the world. Now, these horses were highly prized. They were the best battle horses that money could buy. When the king of Israel is importing horses from the Pharaoh of Egypt, he's purchasing a royally bred and trained precision athlete. These horses were known for their beauty, their courage, their pride, and their speed. They were not undisciplined wild animals. They were prized, and they cost a great price. In the book of Kings, there's a specific mention to the cost of these horses. Not only was the cost of acquisition relevant, but the building of the cities, especially to house them, the wages of the staff that were required to care for them, as well as their upkeep. And we do really well to remember this as we continue to unlock this verse. The cost of this passion project was significant. Another noteworthy point is that it's believed that the Egyptians hitched pairs of stallions to their chariots. And if this is the case, then being a mare amongst them suggests that this horse was totally unique, eye-catching, a real standout. So how does this verse relate to us? Well, in 1408, a committee in Florence, Italy decided to decorate the roofline of the cathedral with huge statues of biblical figures. By 1464, a figure of David had been ordered and a huge slab of marble was extracted for the job. The sculptor who was commissioned for this project actually abandoned it shortly after, and then another sculptor, Rossellino, declined to work on the project because he claimed that the marble was of poor quality. Apparently the marble has now been tested by modern scientists, and they agree with Rossellino, and they confirm that actually the marble is mediocre. But in 1501, 26-year-old Michelangelo began the work on this exact same slab of marble and created the world's most famous statue, David. By focusing on the quality of marble, we actually miss the point in this story. It's the skill of the sculptor that creates the masterpiece. So often, from our own perspective of our lives, we focus on the quality of what we think the material we're made out of is, rather than seeing through the eyes of a skilled creator who is in the process of making a masterpiece. In the natural, we look at ourselves and we see the mediocre rather than the perspective of us that our God holds. Our life can look messy. We jump straight into circumstances and we see the challenges. Our experiences can hold grief and shame and injustice. Our attitudes and behaviours can be less than ideal and we just don't seem to measure up. We see a clear lack of perfection. But our Creator God's perspective is vastly different to our own. His perspective of us is always viewed through the lens of Jesus' sacrifice, which has been paid. Hebrews 10 verse 14 says that by his one perfect sacrifice, he made us perfectly holy and complete for all time. Looking back to chapter 1 verse 9 of the Song of Songs, we now understand that Solomon was passionate, intentional, purposeful about this strategic plan of these horses in his kingdom, that the ability to carry this out held a significant cost and one that only one with such great wealth could have paid. This strategy was used to display Solomon's own glory to the world. Amazingly, in 1 Peter 2 verse 9, we read that we are God's chosen treasure, set apart, claimed as his very own. And this verse even goes on to say that we broadcast God's glorious wonders throughout our world. So each time that we meet to look at a verse, I'm going to include an activation for your day or the coming week. And today I would invite you to find a quiet moment and make yourself comfortable. Close your eyes and listen to the song suggestion, taking deep breaths as you contemplate the words that are being sung over you. In conclusion, by using this verse as our guide, we are reminded that the choice love of God's heart is you, and that through his perspective, the high price that has been paid to make you his indicates your value, and you're found to be worth the price. In this place of security, you can choose to trust in his passion project involving you. You're not measured by the quality of the material that you feel you're made of, but rather you're a beautiful work in progress, God's glory displayed in your world through you. For further reading today, I suggest that you look at Song of Songs chapter 1 verse 9 in the Passion Translation. I'd also encourage you to check out Ephesians 1 verse 4 to 6 in the Passion Translation and 1 Peter 2 verse 9 in the Passion Translation. My song suggestion for this week can also be found in the video description, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can click the song found on the left-hand side of the screen. See you next time.